Hello and welcome again to What If Natives Won, a video blog and channel about alternate history in American Indians, Native Americans, Indigenous peoples. This is the 7th video of 28 planned ones. My name is Carroll. I'm Associate Professor of History at Northern Virginia Community College. I've written mostly about wars, veterans, human rights, and genocide. I'm also, together with Rob Schmidt of Bluecorn Comics, editing and putting out a short story anthology, What If Natives Won. This is what this video blog and channel are about. There's a huge lack of alternate history written about American Indians, indigenous peoples. Many don't like to think about genocides in America. They likely were never taught about them. Many don't want to be reminded, or want to believe genocides never happened, that it was all an accident. I've had great success using alternate history to teach my students, show them that absolutely nothing in history was inevitable. It never had to be. The worst of human history is always a conscious choice. How things turn out is based on how evil the evil choose to be, and how well and how strongly good people choose to stand up to them and stop them. The way things turned out in history took a very specific set of circumstances. Sometimes history can turn on very small things. Change even one, and you have an entirely different history, different present, different society. Today we talk about what if Aztecs and Incas defeat Cortez and Pizarro. It may be hard to hear this, but we live right now in a dystopian world. One of the worst of all possible outcomes for anyone who is not white. America is today 98% non-native. At least 75 million to 112 million natives were killed by not one genocide, but a series of them. There were many of these genocides, the last of them ending only in the year 2000, taking place in America, Brazil, Canada, Guatemala, Argentina, Mexico, and elsewhere. On top of that is massive genocide denial. This is not taught in almost all American schools. There are racist images everywhere that are often not admitted to be racist. But all this could change if even one set of Spanish invaders are defeated and Spanish weapons are adopted. This was actually 2 sci-fi books already, The Other Time and The Aztec Century. The Other Time imagines a time traveler who warns Aztecs about Cortez, convinces Cortez's translator Malinche to leave Cortez, and convinces Cuauhtémoc to overthrow Moctezuma and attack Cortez. The novel ends with Spanish armed Aztecs defeating a second Spanish invasion, avoiding epidemics, and sending weapons to the Incas to defeat Pizarro. The Aztec century goes much farther. It imagines a 20th century where the Aztecs are the final world power, after defeating Great Britain. Aztecs defeated Cortez, Spain goes into gradual decline as a world power. The Aztecs dominate all the Americas and liberate South Africa and India from British rule. The novel ends with the UK defeated by Aztecs. Except for time travel, both novels are very plausible. Both invasions succeeded mostly by incredible bad luck and chance. There was not just one way to stop either invader, there are dozens. Cortez could have been stopped by his commander, Governor Narvaez. Cortez's men mutinied. It could easily have succeeded. Cortez could have lost in battles against natives other than Aztecs, Tlaxcalans, and Tarascans. Cortez was nearly wiped out in his first invasion of the Aztec capital, forced to flee and losing most of his troops. At one point in the battle, he was almost killed by an Aztec warrior, only saved by a native ally. So what if Cortez is defeated, his men all captured, if not killed? Typically the Aztecs executed some POWs, but not all of them. It was common for the Aztecs to try to turn defeated enemies into allies. Captured Spaniards would be very useful. One thing they could introduce is cavalry training with their horses. In our own time, there were Aztec cavalry within a year of Spanish conquest. Another thing Spanish soldiers would introduce to the Aztecs is iron weapons, including armor and guns. Aztecs were incredibly skilled at metallurgy, in gold, silver, copper, and bronze. There were all the elements needed to make iron weapons and gunpowder within Aztec territory. What about disease? Blaming most native deaths on supposed accidental disease is standard genocide denial, taught in schools and given mainstream respectability. The claim is Aztecs were supposedly uniquely vulnerable because of isolation, no large cities, and no domestic animals. All three are not true for Mexico. There was an incredible amount of trade and contact between regions, including from Polynesians on the coast. Here you see all their common domestic animals, dog breeds, turkey, and many tropical birds. Tenochtitlan was one of the largest cities in the world, 500,000 people. It was 12 times larger than Madrid or London, bigger than Paris or Rome. As I've shown repeatedly in the past 4 videos, European diseases didn't spread at first, not until decades of deliberate starvation tactics made them far more vulnerable. In the Aztec case, smallpox killed about 1/4 of Aztecs, similar to Europe. Later epidemics called cocolicri were likely hemorrhagic fever, and made far worse by Spanish starvation tactics. What about the Incas? Like the Aztecs, there was not one way to prevent Spanish conquest, there were dozens. Pizarro took advantage of a brutal 3-year civil war that had already killed 100,000, including many top generals. Pizarro had 2 previous disastrous invasions of Panama and Nicaragua, where he lost many men and could have been killed. Pizarro, like Cortez, also had a governor telling him not to invade, which he defied. Pizarro could have been killed in battle with the Puñans. Pizarro also faced a mutiny where he could have been killed. Pizarro also used cannon and cavalry to massacre 2,000 Inca elites without warning, and held hostage the Inca Atahualpa. If the terrorist attack had gone badly, if Aztecs had been warned, or Spaniards trapped, or Atahualpa not captured, the Spaniards lose. Spaniards killed or captured again means the survivors show Incas the use of iron, how to make guns and gunpowder, and cavalry tactics. Incas had sophisticated metallurgy, gold, silver, copper, and bronze. Later Spanish invasions will all be easily defeated. For disease, again the claim is, natives were supposedly uniquely vulnerable because of isolation. No large cities, no domestic animals. All 3 are even less true for Incas than Mexico. There was an incredible amount of trade, and also contact between regions, including, again, from Polynesians on the coast. Common Incan domestic animals included llamas, alpacas, capybaras, shown here, guinea pigs, and dogs. Other native nations did defeat Spanish invasions and avoided genocide. The best known example is the Mapuche. They also adopted European guns and cavalry. They defeated Spanish invasions for 300 years and Chilean and Argentinian invasions for 50 more. And they are very much still around today, with almost 2 million people in both nations. Both Aztec and Inca nations would, like the Mapuche, last at least into the 1880s, perhaps all the way to today and into the future. Here you see such a warrior as depicted by artist Raul Cruz. Such nations would use guns to dominate even larger areas, all of Mexico for the Aztecs, the western half of South America for Incas. How would they change? Incan socialism would be a model for the world. Aztec local democracy and militarism might also be imitated, much as Prussians were in our own time. Aztec sacrifice would probably be gone. Christianity doesn't still have the Inquisition. Such powerful, surviving, advanced, prosperous nations are certainly native victories. This is the end of the 6th video. I look forward to your comments and questions, and will answer them as often as I can. Racism, genocide denial, childish behavior, or personal attacks will get deleted. But I do recognize that some questions will be asked in ignorance because much of the facts I point to are new to most people. They were never taught about this. They've been raised in genocide denial, since denying indigenous genocides is taught in almost all public schools. Next time we will discuss, what if Hawaii was seized by Spaniards, Russians, or English instead of the US? Please repost freely. Subscribe, like, share, comment. I will post again in about a week. This has been What If Natives Won video blog and channel.